Welcome back, guys, for a playthrough of Pokemon Gold. Okay, so we are just outside Olivine right now, and we are heading towards Cianwood. We have to deal with that situation where we have to help out Jasmine, the Olivine gym leader, with an Ampharos that is sick up in the lighthouse. So there's a few things that we need to do. I have to decide how I want to approach this, though. Give me a second to kind of collect my thoughts. Let's see. So, okay, Totodile Surf, still a weird thing. Furret knows Rock Smash, which is super... Actually, is it Furret? No, hold on. It might not have been Furret. It was... Yeah, Headbutt, Strength, and Dig. That's right. Scyther's the one who knows Rock Smash. So he can crush these rocks here, which is one of the only places that I know of where you can get a Shuckle. There's other Pokemon that appear here. I think Krabby shows up too, but if you want a Shuckle, these are the spots to get it. I don't really care to do that, so I'm not going to bother. This might be a trainer, and I'm going to be going after every possible trainer that I can, because Scyther is right there on the cusp of becoming Scizor. I do have a rare candy on me, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to save it for, I really don't know what purpose just yet, but I'm going to hang on to it. Oh, she's not a trainer. Although you can't see it from here, Cianwood is across the sea. Okay, I don't know how big this area is. Yes, I love that I can just click on the water and surf. Such a great quality of life improvement. You have to warm up before going into the water. That's basic. Okay. Now, Scyther only needs to level up one more time to hit his Scizor evolution. And if you're wondering again why that is, just to recap, I altered the game files that allows me to do that. Rather than trades, I made it so he can level up. Because obviously I'm not going to rely on anybody else for my playthrough. There's a video on the front page of my channel if you want to see how you can do that yourself. Oh wow, we are... Wait, didn't we go and heal? Why are we so... We didn't go to the Pokemon Center after we... Yeah, after we took care of the lighthouse stuff. Okay, we're going to go back to the Pokemon Center first before we venture out any further. I was thinking Ampharos would be really great out here, obviously, because it's going to be nothing but water-type trainers with water-type Pokemon, but Ampharos is already leveled up. Scissor's really the only one. Growlithe, I'm not even going to bother. Like, obviously, that shouldn't require an explanation. Furret could use some love, though. I might spend some time with him. I think with maybe like... Oh, thank goodness. With maybe like another battle after this, because I don't think a level 20 Tentacool is going to push me over the edge, but it might. How much? 450? No, not even close. Yeah, we need to fight 2 Pokemon at that level or higher. Okay, Uncle, I give. All right, let's go back. I need to heal up. I can't. Cut it right now is like one of the top moves that I'm relying on with Scyther. I'm surprised that I forgot to go to the Pokemon Center. So I want to tell you guys a funny story. Something happened the other day. See this bug thing. I was actually talking to someone else that is playing this game, and they're running into a bunch of bugs like this too. It's super weird. Nothing game breaking because it goes away like that. Super weird though, right? I initially thought it was because I altered the game, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Like that happens sporadically for whatever reason, but it's just a couple of frames. Really drives me crazy though, because like while I talk about stories, which I'm going to tell you one in a minute, that I think have absolutely nothing to do with the gameplay, that on one hand it sort of like takes you out of the immersion of the story, despite this being like sort of what, like an 8-bit game. I hate seeing little hiccups like that interrupt our gameplay experience. But anyway, back to my story. So the other day I was having a conversation with someone, and are you going to Cianwood? How about a quick battle first? So I was talking to an acquaintance of mine, and we were talking about candy for whatever reason. And we got on the topic of like what my favorite candy was. And I thought this was just one of those like sort of random funny stories. It's in the reason why I'm telling you. It's not related to anything we've talked about before. It's just really out of the blue, and I know that. But I figured it's been on my mind because I haven't told this story to anyone before. And then I told this acquaintance, and she freaked out about it. And I was like, this might be a funny thing to tell some people on YouTube. But anyway. So we were talking about candy, and I was talking about my favorite candy, which is probably Sour Patch Kids. And I went and saw the Flash movie last night, which I really, really liked. And I got Sour Patch Kids, and I don't do candy. I'm not a candy person. I don't do that. I don't know. I try my best to stay away from processed sugars and carbs. But when I go to the movie theater, I sort of kind of make the exception. Because one thing I like doing there, and I know I'm kind of veering off, but we'll get back to my story in a second. This is a story adjacent to the story that's connected to the main thing I'm trying to tell you. Got enough to level up? Oh, so close. And so one thing that I like doing is I like getting popcorn, slathering it with like butter and salt, and then throwing Sour Patch Kids in the bag of the popcorn. And I try to mix it up so the Sour Patch Kids kind of get sprinkled throughout like the whole cylinder of the bag and not at like the base of it, because then you have to dig all the way to the bottom. But I love the combination of like savory, salty, sweet, and sour all together. It's an orgasm in your mouth. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, so I got Sour Patch Kids last night. I really enjoyed the Flash movie, and it reminded me of this story, which is why I'm telling you. And I told this to someone else, and it was about how when I was a kid, and we keep getting interrupted. Let's focus on the evolution real quick, and then I'll tell you the rest. Wing attack, huh? It's a flying type movie. That's right, he's dual type. Well, it doesn't really matter, huh? Because he's a flying bug now, but he's about to evolve into a steel bug. What else do we have on moves? Rock Smash, False Swipe, Quick Attack. I kind of need Rock Smash right now, and I don't want to get rid of anything else. Yeah, that's fine. Evolve. Yeah, baby. Freaking cool. Finally, dude, I've been wanting that for a while. That's a great combo to the team. Yeah. Yeah, look how freaking dope he looks. Buff. Sweet. Got our Scyther. Team is starting to get real rounded out. Trying to learn Metal Claw. Yeah, I do want to learn that. Yes. Don't want to get rid of False Swipe. Rock Smash, I do want to get rid of, but not yet. I can't. Quick Attack, I'm going to get rid of. Metal Claw just seems like a very optimal move for him. So anyway, let's get back to it. So when I was a kid, I had this really big problem with moderation. And by that, I mean, I had this thing where I was constantly trying to... Hold on, let me see. Switch? No. I keep on distracting myself, but I really want to get organized because it's going to bother me if I don't. There we go. Okay. So I had this thing with moderation. Anytime I ever liked anything, I went pretty much nuts with it. And I obsessed with anything from food to like collectibles to whatever. I still have an issue with that with collectibles because I buy so many. If you look, you can see a big wall of that back there. But one thing happened. I remember one summer I was visiting my grandparents and I was obsessed with sour type candies. Starburst, which sort of is not really sour, but Starburst was one. Sour Patch Kids was another. Sour Punch straws, which are fantastic. The green apple's like the best. A young guy like you should don't surf on your Pokemon. Oh, okay. Oh, I can't do that. And so one summer I was spending it with my grandparents out of state, and I was at their like they had a business, and so I was kind of left to myself to do my own thing while I was hanging out at their office because they own their own company, and I was just kind of like, you know, walking around, whatever, trying to keep myself occupied. So with no one watching me, I sort of had my complete freedom to do anything I wanted. And I remember my grandmother was into Airheads. Do you remember Airheads? Those really crappy, like, taffy things that left a bad chalky taste in your mouth after the fact. Yeah, garbage, right? So, but one thing that she bought, because she also had a sweet tooth for sour stuff like I did, is Airheads had made a sort of like fruit by the foot type thing. Do you remember those things? They were in like a roll and you can like pull. It's literally like a foot of like, you know, I guess fruity gummy candy, I guess you would kind of call it, I guess. And they made one that had that, but with like the sprinkled sweet sour sugar stuff all over it, like Sour Patch Kids did. So they had these Airhead fruit roll-up things with that stuff on it, and I got obsessed. And I'd never had them before, and it was like the very first time that I had them in that day, and there was just a big, huge Costco-sized box of them, just like sitting out. So I grabbed one, and before I knew, 1 turned to 4, and 4 turned to 5. And as the day was rounding out, my grandparents, because they lived kind of in like the southeastern United States, they really wanted to go to Cracker Barrel, which is like, on one hand, a really delicious place to eat food, but on the other hand, also subtly racist, which makes me not want to go there, and it's very uncomfortable. But anyway, so they were planning on going to Cracker Barrel, and so some family members were coming, and I was like, okay, cool. But by this time, I hadn't realized that I had eaten 12 of these freaking fruit roll-up things. I want you to think about this for a second. They call it, or no, it was fruit by the foot. That's what it was. Sorry, fruit by the foot. If one of those is 1 foot, fruit by the foot, okay, but this is the airhead version. I had 12 freaking feet of these, okay? I think of looking back on it, I was maybe 14 when I did this. And it wasn't the first time where I had gorged myself to like an unhealthy level. And but that's another story. So as an aside, so put a pin in that. This is related to that. This is a story, like, you know, next to the story. If I win, lend me your Pokemon. Not happening. And so we were planning on going out. Well, around this time this summer, this was when I think Birkenstocks was sort of popular. I don't know if they were popular for you, but at my school, they were kind of blowing up a little bit. Birkenstocks were a thing. Those like leather sandals that you slip on. People wore them at my school, like with socks and stuff, ironically, but we all knew it was because it was more comfortable. We just said it was ironic because we looked stupid. But I wasn't a fan. I did not like Birkenstocks. I thought they were freaking stupid. I was just like, no way, dude. I wear Vans. That's my thing. I'm not going to wear Birkenstock sandals. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. But my mother was very insistent that I wear these freaking Birkenstocks. And so she was always pushing me to try and like put them on. And I was like, no. I'd rather walk barefoot and step on broken glass shards than wear these stupid freaking ugly things. And so one day though, like I could tell that she was really upset that I wasn't wearing these Birkenstocks because she got them for me. And so I was like, fine, like I'll wear them. So I wore them to my grandparents' office the same day that I was eating all these freaking like fruit by the foot things. And I remember that by the time everyone was planning to wrap up the office day and go out to dinner, so it was probably around 5:30, 5:45, and everyone was going to leave at 6 or something. It was, you know, whatever, something like that. I got really sick. And I was like really, really sick. Like I felt horrible. Like just not good, as you would imagine, eating 12 feet of this garbage candy. And so I remember I was sitting specifically in my grandmother's office, in the office building, because she was out like, you know, on the floor doing whatever she was. She was a hard worker. She was actually doing the work herself. She wasn't the type to like, she was a very tough woman, but she wouldn't give orders as an excuse to be lazy. She would give orders to like help her do something because she was a very hands-on, strong, independent older woman. Probably the one person in my family that I actually respect like the most of everyone else, but that's neither here nor there. But the point was is she was never in her own office because she wasn't the type to sit behind a desk. She was like a get at it, get it done, work hard type person. So there's no one to watch me in her office. Maybe I was in there playing like my Game Boy or something like that because there was a wall outlet there. Maybe it was just because I was out of the way. Maybe it's because she had a couch in her office that she never used, but I used. So I was chilling on the couch, you know, whatever, eating these fruit by the foot things. And I had stuffed a bunch of the wrappers like in the couch because I knew that if someone came in and saw that I'd eaten like, it might have been, I can't remember now if it was 12 or 14. It was between 12 or 14 because I remember getting in trouble because I remember I was found out that I was stuffing these things in there because they wanted to know why the box had gone down and why I wasn't feeling so well. And then 2 and 2 together, it was like, oh, because this dumbass just ate so many of these. And they were pulling out wrapper after wrapper out of the couch cushions. I was a little shit, if that wasn't obvious. And so I remember, I can't remember who, I think it was my mom. She came in and she had seen that there was a couple of the wrappers on the floor. Maybe she noticed one sticking out of the couch cushions that was in my grandmother's office. I don't know. I don't remember the circumstances, but she was pulling them out and she was like, what in the hell is going on here? And so as the nasty little glutton that I was, hiding these things, I couldn't hide that any longer. So I had to tell her. And so I told her what it was, and she was furious, but it was also funny because I had punished myself. I had eaten these things, and if I wasn't sick, I would have been punished. But because I had gotten sick, the punishment was already, you know, was on the way. So it's not like they were going to double punish me on top. That's like, no, you're going to get super sick. You deserve that. And trust me, this was a lesson that I had learned it was the hard way, but it was a very, very important lesson I learned. So anyway, so the Birkenstock thing is relevant to this. So I remember we had all gotten in the back of my grandmother's, I think it was like I don't remember what, it was a 2001 Dodge Durango or something, and it was cherry red. And I remember thinking about this because it was such a rad vehicle. For the longest time when I was a teen, that's the car that I wanted when I was old enough to buy my own. But then Dodge changed their cars and the Durango looks like ass now. But anyway, I loved that car so much. And so I felt really bad about what happened next. When I had gotten in the car, I had the Birkenstocks, and I felt so awful. Ooh, a Tentacruel. I felt so awful that I had convinced them just like, you know what, just let me stay in the car myself. You guys go to dinner, because like I just can't. I'm so sick. I just cannot go inside. And so I was like, and so they're like, okay, fine, like whatever. So we pulled up to the Cracker Barrel. Everybody went inside and they were, you know, doing their thing. And I remember thinking to myself, F these Birkenstocks. I don't want to wear these. So I had meticulously placed this pair of Birkenstocks within my line of sight because I was laying down in the back seat, sprawling across the vehicle, right? And I'm tall, so like, you know, it was very cramped, but I had no choice because I felt like butt, and I needed to I needed to just rest it off. But I knew it was coming. And there's a whirlpool there. And as I was chilling, if you need to rest, just tread water. You'll get your wind back so you can keep on going strong. I'm surfing, dude. It's fine. And so I remember thinking, like, it's coming. And I projectile vomited 12 feet at least of these nasty... Oh, it makes me sick just thinking about it. These nasty airhead fruit by the foot, disgusting things. Can I dig in the water? It's so dumb. And I just vomited intentionally all over the frickin' Birkenstocks because I was like, there's no effing way I'm gonna wear these, like, you know, without being forced. And I knew the only way to get out of it without, like, you know, hurting their feelings by saying, hey, I don't want to wear these because I think they're really lame. The only way to get out of it was to ruin them. And I don't remember how much they were, but Birkenstocks were pretty popular at the time, and I'm pretty sure that they were like designer sandals. I don't know how much they are now because I couldn't care less, but I feel like they were probably around $200 maybe, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know much about Birkenstocks, but I feel like they were expensive enough to where it was like a real a-hole move to do this. But I threw up all over these things. And I'll tell you, I don't want to paint the most vivid of pictures. Oh, God. But the way that these airhead things digest in your stomach, they create like these little strips and shards. It's like a bunch of, if you remember the airhead strips, they were like individual tiny little lines, okay, that were like fused together. And so the fruit by the foot version of this thing was the same way. So it was just like a bunch of little strips. So naturally, between the bites that I had made to chew this thing up and then digest, it had turned into like, it looked like spaghetti in my stomach, basically, but it was all these red strips because they were a red flavor. It was like a cherry flavor or something. I don't know. But I had basically thrown up red spaghetti all over these Birkenstocks, and then I just passed out because I was just so sick. And I remember waking up to the sound of my mother and my grandmother shrieking. More my mother, I think my grandmother, because she was a badass. She was like, what in the she was so pissed off and she was so mad. My mom was like, oh my God, wow, could you do this? I'm like, what? And just, you know, little stuff dripping out of my mouth. It's just gross. I'm sorry. I know this is very, very vulgar, but, and I just remember thinking about this, and they were furious. And my mom wasn't dumb. She knew. She was like, you little shit, you did that on purpose, didn't you? And I was like, I was like, oh, what are you talking about? But I had ruined these Birkenstocks, and sure enough, they did not buy me another pair. And that, my friends, is the ultimate way to get out of having to wear shoes that you don't want. And I don't know, I just thought it was funny because this was a story that I had told an acquaintance that I'm not particularly close with. And I just thought, you know what, you guys kind of like stories. Maybe you will enjoy this really stupid, nasty, dumb story. And I don't know, I've never told anyone this story before. So whether or not you guys, like, I don't know, find it interesting or you find it, like, I don't know. It had to be told somewhere at some point. So I figure, you know what, I might as well just tell you. And, whoo boy. Yeah, that was a nasty experience. I'll tell you that right now. That was... Again, that has nothing to do with anything. It was just, I think, so this is how it went down. So I have a day job, and at my day job, like, they have little snacks and stuff laying about, whatever. And one of the snacks was Sour Patch Kids. And I was like, that's weird. Like, Sour Patch Kids have not been in this office before. Like, what the heck? And so I started talking to an acquaintance about that, because that's like the most interesting thing happening at my job, right? And so we started talking about sour candy, and then they were like, oh yeah, I do like this candy and this candy and this candy. What about the Airhead sour things? And I was like, oh, let me tell you a story. So I told this story. And then last night we went and saw The Flash, which was really awesome. Like, I really loved that movie. That was a lot of fun. CGI was horrible though. Big 0 out of 10 on the CGI, but everything else was fantastic. Real shame about Ezra Miller and that whole situation, because they are having a rough go at it. But nonetheless, that's their business and not mine. But so we started talking about, you know, why I never get candy, and then we went to the movie theater and I grabbed Sour Patch Kids, and then that whole sour thing just kind of stuck in my mind, and I was like, you know what, this is a good story for YouTube. It's probably not. It's probably not a good story at all, but I don't know. Just thought I would share. Yeah, nothing beats listening to Marcanine talk about his childhood vomiting experiences while playing Pokemon Gold version. Am I right? I'd mentioned though that this wasn't the first time that it happened. That was probably the second to last time that it happened. There were 3 times where I overindulged and gorged myself on something that I most certainly should not have, and made me violently ill. The first time was pretty much the exact same as this Airhead thing, but I did it with peanuts. We had like this Planters peanuts assorted thing or whatever, and I just sat there and I just ate and ate and ate and ate and ate and ate more peanuts than you could possibly imagine. But it wasn't just peanuts. It was also, at night, star you gather near the water surface. Okay. It wasn't just peanuts, because it was an assorted, it was, you know, whatever, like, just to think of a giant jug of nuts. Stop it. And so I just, you know, stuffed myself full of those. God, I want a Horsea so bad. And I gotten sick, and, you know, whatever, that's how that happened. The third time is a little bit more interesting though, because this was a really stupid thing that I did, among the list of many stupid things that I did. So the third thing, another summer went by, I was home alone doing my thing, and I don't know the first thing about cooking, but I wanted to. When I was at a young age, I really wanted to be a chef, only because I thought it was interesting to make food that people would like. So I was always like going around, and like, I think a lot of kids did this. We would go around and just grab every possible ingredient that we liked that was available in the house, from like pudding mix to cereal to peanut butter, and slap it all together in a big nasty bowl of just disgust. And I remember I did that. I had a history of doing this, where I would grab, you know, pudding mix, and I would grab, you know, Cocoa Puffs and peanut butter. That actually did happen. And a bunch of other things, and I put it all together, and I was trying to make some sort of crazy concoction. I was of the belief at a young age that there was a bunch of household ingredients that if you mixed them all together the right way, it would become some crazy, like, discovery and invention that would, like, cure cancer or something. And so I kind of thought the same thing with, like, food as well. I was like, because you would hear all the time about how, again, sidestepping, you would hear all the time about how people would find that common, like, objects or whatever were invented for a different purpose, and then they were found to be something else. Like, Coca-Cola was meant to initially be like some sort of medicinal thing, and it had cocaine in it or something like that. There's an interesting story about all that. But I remember thinking about that because I'd heard about it at a very young age. And so I was like, okay, like, there's got to be different things around the house that I could mix together that would, like, you know, be revolutionary. But I was a dumb 7-year-old kid. I didn't know any better. That's obviously not, I mean, maybe it's true in some circumstances in very rare occasions, but not in any of mine. Well, when I started doing it with food, because I thought maybe I could discover, like, the next greatest flavor a la Ratatouille, I thought maybe, like, okay, like, this would, like, blow everyone's mind. And so I would put together, like, all this food and stuff like that together, port surrounded by rough seas, that I would create some great, like, delicacy, which was just not true. Well, ultimately what then happened was I had put together, like, this nasty concoction, and I realized, okay, that didn't work. But I remembered seeing when people made breakfast, like, and they would do, like, bacon, eggs, and whatever, there was always, like, an addition to, like, milk in scrambled eggs. I didn't know why, but I saw that. So one summer, I was alone by myself, and I had never made eggs for myself. I don't remember, I don't really have an excuse for this, but I remember, like, making a bunch of things, and I you know, made scrambled eggs, but I just cracked eggs over the stove and made them, and that would have been fine. But, God, this is, like, the most embarrassing thing. I didn't know, I was like, wait a minute, shouldn't there be milk in these eggs? Maybe I can do it after the fact. This is really gross. So I made these scrambled eggs, And then I put them on a paper plate and I was going to eat them. And I was like, well, I didn't put milk in them. Is that going to make them bad? So I put a little milk on them and then I put it in the microwave, dude. I put it in the freaking microwave. I put eggs already scrambled, covered in milk, into the microwave. Anyway, I ate them. I felt the oncoming thing of like, okay, I made something wrong. I'm going to get sick and throw up. So I was like, well, wait a minute. What if I balance out like my stomach and eat something healthy to counteract that? Maybe that'll dilute it. Maybe I won't get sick. So then I ate a bunch of bananas to try and like somehow make it so it was like in my brain, it was like, okay, there's a bunch of nasty in my stomach, but if I drink a lot of water and have some bananas, maybe like that's a healthy thing, right? Bananas are healthy. So like I'll eat that and then I'll be, you know, better. And I remember, I think this happened when I was 13, which means the airhead story would have happened when I was 12 because it was the following year. So yeah, so this was, yeah, so something like that. And naturally I got really sick and I went to bed and I put a trash bag next to me or whatever. But the only bag that I could find was a freaking paper bag. So I had gotten sick, threw up in a paper bag, dude, a paper grocery bag. Seriously, I'm the biggest dumbass alive. And I remember my mom came home and she was like, what the hell is going on here? And I was like, I'm sick. I did it again. I overindulged, blah, blah, blah. I told her the story. And then she was like, I was like, don't look in the paper bag. And she's like, oh, F. Because the paper bag had gotten all soggy. And so she couldn't pick it up without it spilling all over the floor. Oh, and it was on carpet too. Ugh, okay. Yeah, I got in trouble for that one. Because she had to, yeah, it was real bad. But I'll tell you, after 3 times of eating really nasty things and getting sick like that, I didn't do it again. I didn't do it a 4th time. I'm really sorry about this story in every way, shape, and form. Oh, 500 years of tradition. Cianwood City Pharmacy. We await your medical... Okay, so I think I'm just going to go pop in here. Your Pokemon appear to be fine. Is something worrying you? The lighthouse Pokemon is in trouble? I got it. This ought to do the trick. Okay. My secret potion is a tad too strong. I only offer it in an emergency. Yeah, I'm sorry that probably wasn't the story you were expecting, but, yeah, dude. Is there a way... I don't think... Yeah, I can't use Dig anywhere out here to go back to that Pokemon Center, so I just have to swim all the way back. But yeah, I was a total F, an idiot. Was it down or up? Well, let's move on and pretend I didn't talk about that, because it's going to make me sick. That's a thing. That's a thing. Anyways... Have you seen my latest Pokemon shorts? Shiny Pokemon and all that stuff? Yeah, I've been focusing a lot on doing this shiny Pokemon related content in the Pokemon shorts, so if you're out in the shorts. So if you have not yet looked at those... Oh, I didn't fight him? See those islands that are blocked by whirlpools? There just has to be a secret. Whirlpool's not an HM in this game, is it? Is it like Headbutt or Rock Smash, which is a TM? I don't remember. But yeah, I've been putting a lot of effort into trying to cover all the bases for every single one of the colors and themes for various, like, shiny Pokemon. And then after I got through all the main colors, we had gotten to, elemental typings. But for some reason, man, today's short just did not hit with anyone. A lot of my shorts have been doing pretty well. Between, you know, several hundred and a couple thousand views, depending. But, like, today's, for some reason, like, I did top 10 bug type shiny today, and it's just, like, sitting at 36 views. I don't know what happened. It's really weird. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a late bloomer, but I guess people just don't care about bug Pokemon that much, which I totally understand. But, on the other hand, man, I'll tell you what. The title of this video, reflecting on what we're doing in today's episode, or in this episode of the playthrough Pokemon Gold, is going to catch a lot of people off guard who are like, what in the hell is this guy talking about? All those weird, like, food vomiting things? Ugh, what a psychopath. I don't know, man. I was a weird kid. I think that's one reason why I resent my parents, is they were, like, never really around, except to, like, punish me or whatever. And so, like, I guess I was kind of left to my own vices. Left to my own devices. I suppose that would be right? And I think because I was always by myself, I was always trying to discover new and interesting things because there was no one there to teach me, to show me anything. Like, no one showed me how to cook. No one showed me how to do this. No one taught me about moderation. No one talked to me about, you know, whatever. I had to figure out a lot of stuff on my own. on one hand, that was actually very beneficial because I had learned the hard way. But on the other hand, like, I had to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? Like, learning the hard way helps you see things for what they really are, and it sticks with you when you make a mistake, you know? So, and those things are all very important, I feel like. Those are very, very important life lessons to be learned. Sometimes I think the hard way is the best way. And I think that made me a much more well-rounded person. I don't know about a better person, but a more well-rounded person. But it also made me feel like, what the hell did I need parents for? Which is a very immature statement, because even though I resent my parents for many a reason that I'll go into another time, like, I'm not dead, but like, I don't know. Sometimes I kind of feel like parents were doing like the very bare minimum, just enough for child services to not take me away. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't know, you don't really get a gold star for that. It's kind of like, you know, when parents always say, like, this really stuck with me. You know, when parents say things like, I give you a roof overhead, clothes on your back, food on the table, and whatever, it's like, you realize if you don't do any of those things, like, the government will come and take the child away, right? You don't get any sort of, like, award for doing, like, the bare minimum. Like, if you are having a kid, if you're going out of your way to have and bring a child into this world, like, those things are required of you. You don't get, there's no praise coming to you for such things. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember if this is the right one. Yeah, here we go. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Isn't that a really weird thing for, like, parents to say? Seems kind of dumb. Always pissed me off. Will that medicine cure Amphi? No. Please don't be offended. Amphi will not take anything from anyone but me. Dude, I don't care. I have my own Ampharos. It's definitely cooler than yours. Amphi, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm so relieved. This is just so wonderful. Thank you so very, very much. I will return to the gym. So who's gonna leave? Like, there's just like a plate of food here and some coffee. So if I use dig now, is that going to take me to the, oh, it takes me outside the building. Okay, I was like, it's not going to take me to the Pokemon Center. And I was worried that it would take me to the Cianwood, but we didn't go inside, so that should be fine. All right, let's go heal up. So she has Steel type, which means Growlithe could do some good damage, but he's a really low level and he only knows Ember, so I don't know how far that'll take me. Nonetheless, though, I think we'll wrap it up right here. Thank you for listening to my stories. I don't know if they were any good. I don't know if if that was like an overshare or what, but I figure, I don't know. I might as well make myself a little vulnerable and share like a really wild story with you. And I feel like those are more of the like embarrassing ones, but they're also kind of funny. And like, it's been years since that's happened. So I kind of feel like, yeah, like we could share that sort of thing. Nonetheless, though, if you enjoyed the video or, you know, any part of this one, show your love by hitting the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. Any feedback for me, you can leave in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, don't forget to take a look at the description box. There's some links that will hopefully interest you, one of which is a link to the Marcanine community Discord server, a place where I'm very active. You can chat with me directly there and other members of the community if you're interested. Share with me your own interesting stories, Pokemon things, whatever you want to talk about, non-Pokemon things, non-Marcanine things, whatever. That's up to you. There's also a link to geekoutpost.com, an entertainment media blog that I own, operate, run, manage, design, and write for. It's a fairly decent place to stay up to date on recent gaming news, reviews, and rumors if you're into that kind of thing. Also, if you haven't taken a look at the shorts section of the channel, go ahead and do so. I don't know, I put a lot of effort into those. I think they're fairly decent, and it's worth discussing, but that's up to you. Anyway, though, regardless of all that, thanks again for your time, and I hope to see you when we continue with more of our playthrough of Pokemon Gold version in the next episode, where I believe we're going to be taking on Jasmine. But anyway, that's it from me, guys. Take care, be well. I hope to see you around. Later.